Welcome back. You're watching Beyond the Headline. Now, amidst repeated reports of issues with Spicejet flights, the DGCA, that's the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, has cut the airline's flights by 50% for the next 8 weeks. The aviation regulator has highlighted internal safety issues and inadequate maintenance action. Spicejet has claimed the order won't impact its flight schedules. Let me first go across to my colleague Madhav, who's explaining what the issues are that the DGCA has highlighted.
Something that is very embarrassing for the airline indeed, because the DGCA has curtailed the summer schedule of Spicejet by 50% of its flight schedule. Spicejet, of course, says that it already is flying below that capacity given the lower demand, and it's not just Spicejet alone, but other aircraft, airlines as well, I beg your pardon, that are also doing the same because of the low demand that is currently there in the market as far as airlines are concerned. But be that as it may, the fact is that the notice also mentions several aspects of the financial stability as well as the safety standards, and unless the DGCA is convinced that those standards have been met, it will not be allowed to increase its schedule beyond 50% of what it has currently been allowed. Now, this is of course a very clear indication, given the fact that there's been an entire series of incidents that have happened. First, the series of go-arounds as well as aborted takeoffs, the bird hits, etc. that we've seen, the turnarounds rather mid-air that we've seen due to multiple reasons. There were windshield cracks, there were engine failures, all of which were reported. There was even one landing that had to take place in Karachi in Pakistan for a flight that was on its way to Dubai. So all of these incidents later, the DGCA finally sent a show cause notice. Spicejet was given 3 weeks to respond, and after Spicejet's response, the DGCA has felt that there is a need to not just send this or curtail the schedule as far as this particular airline is concerned, but also to put Spicejet's own operations on enhanced surveillance. What this really means is that while an annual audit would happen as far as safety features are concerned on a normal airline, in this particular case there will be more checks, perhaps even surprise checks, that will happen as far as Spicejet's operations are concerned. So it will really be under the scanner of the aviation regulator. But given the fact and the experience that we've seen as far as Jet Airways, as far as Kingfisher Airlines in the recent past are concerned, there are a series of incidents which in fact many experts are drawing parallels to. What they are saying is that there were similar cash and carry issues given the financial difficulties that these airlines had to go through. Their flight schedules were further curtailed by the DGCA, and thereon they went into a situation where things got completely out of control and the airlines went into a tailspin. Right now, Spicejet, observers say, is at a huge inflection point. It needs to get a huge infusion of funds.
Absolutely, but is the lack of funds enough of a reason for what we're seeing? Thank you for that, Madhav. MR Sivaraman, former Director General of the Civil Aviation, joining me now for more on this story that we're discussing. Sir, can you begin first by talking about what the concerns really are that the DGCA has highlighted? What do you make of that order?
I don't know what are the specifics in that order. Just to say that 50% of the flight should be grounded, as it appeared in the newspapers, doesn't mean anything to the public. Have they grounded the aircraft which have given trouble, including those aircraft they found not satisfactory for leaving the ground? That's not very clear. If that is so, if 50% of the fleet are not being maintained according to the specifications, then it's a serious matter.
We've seen Spicejet's response, and their statement was that this won't really impact flights or there won't be cancellations because right now there's a lean period going on. So they're anyway flying or on lesser routes or less aircrafts. But do the larger issues of safety still remain?
Yeah, it's a really ridiculous reply by the Spicejet to say that they are not affected, because that's a serious charge on them. That's why the DGCA has passed such an order. So it's for them to look into the matter and put their house in order. I don't think it's a proper reply that has been given by the Spicejet to the people or to the media.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk about the larger issue that we've highlighted on the show also over the last several weeks. Many incidents. Just in the month of July, there have been at least 19-20 incidents. Do you think those larger questions of passenger safety still prevail?
Of course, it raises serious issues pertaining to the safety of passengers. Not only passengers, the aircraft, everybody on the ground. And in my opinion, There are about 1,000 aircraft which are operational in this country, 700 to 750 aircraft on the civilian side, and about 300 or 250 on the private sector side, and about 100 on in the flying clubs. Now, if there are 1,000 aircraft, if I had been the DGC, this is what I would have done. Every aircraft, as soon as it is received, its maintenance schedule, everything should have been put on the computer, and they should have been monitoring every aircraft with respect to the specified maintenance schedule given by the manufacturer. And today, because everything is possible, it should be online with the DGCA. So all these maintenance records, maintenance schedule, everything of every aircraft should be online with the DGCA, either with the regional office or at the central office. I would prefer it to be at the regional office. It should be easily possible. And the DGCA should put one officer in charge of monitoring whether this schedule is being maintained in respect of every aircraft. As all of you know, the Income Tax Department is maintaining the record of 60 million PAN card holders. And if to maintain a record of about 1,000 or 1,500 or even 2,000 aircraft, not going to be a big deal. Every aircraft maintenance schedule can be put on the computer and brought online with the DGCA. And whenever there is a slippage of the schedule, a red marker should come on the DGCA's computer that there has been a slippage. And the concerned Deputy DG or Joint DG can immediately ground the aircraft in respect of which such a slippage has occurred. What is the difficulty in developing such a system? It can be done within a month.
Yeah. Now,
and then this kind of a problem will not arise.
Right. Now,
you do stopgap arrangements like this.
Now, I want to talk about the reasons for that stopgap arrangement. And many reasons have been given, including the financial state of airlines. They've been hit by a pandemic. ATF rates are very high. Would you give them that leeway in connection with what we're seeing right now, that they couldn't just help themselves?
I think I cannot give any leeway as a former DGCA and former Additional Secretary in the Ministry of Civil Aviation, and having worked in much higher positions later on. I don't think any leeway can be given for as far as safety is concerned. As much as we don't give any leeway as far as terrorism matter is concerned, which I have been dealing with in the United Nations when I was advisor there. You cannot give any leeway on this. And these airlines cannot cut corners. Another thing is there is also a responsibility on the government. The government must ensure that the ATF prices are kept at a reasonable international level so that these airlines do not get completely subsumed in the ATF prices and they have to cut corners elsewhere to maintain their profitability or at least their balance sheet clean. So there is a responsibility on the part of the government also. If the state governments are not cutting it, then the government of India should find some means of at least assuring reasonable prices of the ATF to the airlines. Today, the price of tickets have gone up many-fold because of this. And eventually what will happen, people will not take airline travel. They will start doing their conferences in Zoom or Skype or whatever it is. And again, it will be a sort of a flashback to the airline that they will suffer losses.
Right. Thank you so much.
It's a tiger trying to catch its tail.
Tiger trying to catch its tail. Well, at the end of the day, passenger safety cannot be compromised with big order by the DGCA. We have to see whether there's going to be more on this over the next few days. But thank you, sir, for speaking with us today.